Former NBA star Gilbert Arenas has been charged with allegedly running a high-end illegal gambling business out of a Los Angeles mansion where high-stakes poker games are played. Now, Arenas and a half dozen others are scheduled to be arraigned on several charges in Los Angeles. And ABC News' Alex Stone has more for us. Alex?
Kana, yeah, Gilbert Arenas is a big name, former NBA star, played on the Warriors, the Wizards, the Magic, a number of different teams. And these charges coming as a surprise. He's been in the news recently because his son, who is a star USC recruit, was in a Tesla truck crash and was injured in that. So their name has been around. Gilbert Arenas does a number of podcasts and other things now. So he's quite well known even after his NBA time. But what federal prosecutors are alleging is that he has been running this high-level illegal poker operation out of a home in the Encino area of L.A., and not just having a couple of buddies come by and play poker, but that this was a very well-planned out, well-organized operation with 5 other co-conspirators involved in this, including a member of an Israeli transnational crime group, according to federal prosecutors. But they say that this was something where they had hired women who would help out in the operation and give what they call companionship to those who were playing in the game, that they had armed security guards, that they had chefs that were hired for all of these, and that a lot of money was involved. They had security guards to make sure the wrong people weren't getting into all of this. They had a rake, a fee, the house charges. So they say this was well organized. All were arrested today. A number of agencies involved. Arenas was arrested today as well, facing charges that, if convicted, everybody involved could get 5 years in federal prison.
So, all right, let me just really break down what this is and how it plays out and why this is nonsense. It really sounds like because the state wasn't getting a cut, because, you know, a lot of people probably complain, maybe somebody lost their shirt and then somebody complained about it. It's the only way that they will find out about this is if somebody snitched. That's number one. Number two, this is nothing but a high-end, you know, friendly game, except for because it's so much money involved, because it's not like a regular, oh, I'm going to have my buddies over to play poker, because it's so much money that was probably involved. They had to have hired security. I'm sure the people, they wanted to spice it up. If you know Gilbert Arenas and his personality, he gonna do everything big. So he probably had the chicks coming over and all of that. But, you know, when people sent this to me and was like, oh, he was arrested for illegal gambling ring, I figured it wasn't anything more than this. Now, I believe that this is what happens. And let me give you some insight on how it usually plays out. Like, for example, when you're talking about a home game. We call them home games, right? Now, in Michigan, and I'm pretty sure it's probably similar in Los Angeles, but in Michigan, you got to basically have a license to pretty much do anything with money. But, I mean, you know, if you're doing it with your friends, then ain't nobody going to trip about it. Because he is a big public figure, it's a completely different conversation. But you got to pretty much have a license, especially with them having casinos here. But what they also have is charity games. So a charity poker game is basically where half of the profits, half of the rake, half of what comes in. The rake is basically like the fee for every pot that the house would charge in order to justify them having dealers or whatever. And so half of the rake or half of the, you know, profits would go to a charity, and then the other half would go into whoever it is that hosted it, right? And so that's a charity game. Then you have home games. Home games are basically like, you know, invite only. You got to know who's who. You got to be cool. And home games can get really expensive. It could get, you know, it depends on who's there and what's happening. And I'm sure when you're talking about people that's hanging out with Gilbert Arenas, they probably got a lot of resources, right? And so he was pretty much, it sounds like he was pretty much using his house to host home games. But because you had hired companionship, hoes that was there to hang out, you had a well-organized game, you had probably it happened every whatever day, Thursday or Saturday night or whatever the night is that they hosted or whatever. And probably because you had to qualify to get in, that's when they started to classify it as an illegal ring, right? This is an illegal gambling ring. And then they want to spice up the headlines by saying an Israeli national gang member, was probably involved or whatever. But the reality is that this was a bunch of guys. This is what it sounds like. It's a bunch of guys that, have a decent amount of money. And all of those guys, they want to be careful because what y'all also don't know about a lot of these home games is that they're very ripe for getting robbed, right? Because it's going to be, if you know that it's going to be like, let's just say 16 people there, right? And all of those people brought at least $25,000 there. That's a lot of money. You're talking about upwards of close to $400,000 to $500,000 in play of people that want to get it in and all of that, right? So now you start to make it a little bit different because, they saying that, oh man, it was people there that, had a lot of money and it was girls and it was well organized. So this is an illegal gambling ring. This is what the headlines are saying, courtesy of Yahoo Sports. Former Washington Wizards star and three-time NBA star, All-Star Gilbert Arenas was arrested Wednesday on suspicion of running an illegal high-stakes poker game out of his mansion. U.S. Attorney's Office announced Arenas, 43, dang, we the same age, was charged with one count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, one count of operating an illegal gambling business, one count of making false statements to investigators. He was one of 6 men to be arrested in connection with running an illegal high-stakes poker game. Arenas is accused of renting out his mansion in Encino, California, for the purpose of hosting illegal high-stakes poker games. Arenas was reportedly asked another man, Arthur Katz, to stage his mansion, find others to host games, and collect rent from them for Arenas. Katz's name was not listed. Per the indictment, authorities claim Arenas denied being involved with the party in question, despite allegedly texting a picture to a co-defendant of a poker table featuring his name and silhouette and a jersey number. So they already was on somebody else, and then he just so happened to get caught up with it, it sounds like. Arenas spent 11 seasons, blah, 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 blah. We already know about that. And of course, they're going to bring up the fact that, he got caught up with the gun at the arena and all of that. Following his playing career, Arenas got into podcasting, hosted the popular Gil's Arena show. Last episode of Gil's Arena went up July 17th because they out for the summer, right? Because Summer League is out and all of that. So, they tend to operate around the time when the big sports is happening. His son, 4 other men arrested. All of these guys look like big-time names. I don't know. Running the games which featured pot limit Omaha, that can get really expensive. Among other illegal games, they're accused of collecting a house fee from those participating in the games and hiring women who serve drinks, provide massages, and offer companionship. So they was busting it down for a real one. They had chefs, valets, and armed guards were also reportedly hired for the games. So they had to protect themselves, and they wanted to make it as fun as possible. Gershman is a suspected organized crime figure from Israel. Also arrested, whoever this guy is, Levjan Krashin, was also arrested in connection with their illegal poker games. He was accused of tracking wins and losses, distributing chips, paying employees, assisting with the games. Yeah, it just sounds like he got all 6 men will be arraigned in the U.S. downtown. If convicted, they face a statutory maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison for each count. Yeah, this is nothing that a good lawyer can't handle. He'll probably get a good lawyer on it, take a plea, do a deal, and then get out of it. But again, to me, based off of looking at the details and also being familiar with how a lot of these home games go, it sounds like a high-end poker game that, friends and people that was involved with decided that they wanted to be a part of. Somebody probably got jammed up, offered up Gilbert and all of the friends and all of the poker game in order for them to get a high-stakes arrest. So I think a good lawyer would get him out of here. Thankfully, he, got his own thing. He got his own podcast and all of that. As far as the possibility of a deal with ESPN, considering that ESPN just let go Shannon Sharp, might be a little bit more sketchy, but I'll follow up. We'll talk about it on the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments.